All right, so we've all heard different things about the grip and specifically about the left hand. You may have heard that the back of your left hand is the club face. And if you want to hit a straight shot, you need to keep the back of that left hand matching where the club face is going to be, so toward the target. Keep it toward the target as you come through there. If you want to play a draw, it's going to release on over. If you want to play a fade, it's going to hold on open. And I want to talk about in this video why differing ways that you do the grip could make that the best advice that you've ever heard, or could make that completely wrong. I'm also going to talk about a test that you can run to figure out which type of grip is the best for you based on your own anatomy, and different people are different. PGA Tour players have won major championships with wildly different grips. Here's how you pick which is the correct one for you. So first, let's start off with the general idea that the back of the left hand is where the club face is pointing. Well, this came from the idea that I'm going to match up the logo of my glove with the leading edge of the club face. And if I'm taking a grip like this, that would actually be, from coaching standards, a very weak grip. Now, a weak grip means that the grip is turned more to the left, like that. A strong grip means that the grip is turned more to the right. So basically, if you can imagine, I have a perfectly straight up and down square club face. If I grip the club with my left hand where I can see 3 or 4 knuckles and the logo of my glove is facing more out toward the camera, then that's a very strong grip. The same would be true for the right hand. The more the right hand goes under, that would be a strong grip. So this would be an incredibly strong grip. Think of like a Paul Azinger. Now, an incredibly, or a Matt Fitzpatrick would be a new player that does this. Now there's lots of players, tons of players, Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy to some degree even, definitely Sergio Garcia, who have these grips that are turned more to the right or stronger type grips. There's also players that have weaker type grips, your Tiger Woods, your Colin Morikawas, your Ben Hogans. That would be when the grip is over here to the left. Now, if I take a grip, excuse me, getting over a cough here. If I take a grip where my logo of my glove and the leading edge, so the bottom groove of the club here, are in the same direction. So meaning this is flat pointing up toward the sky, this is flat pointing up toward the sky. That would be a pretty daggone weak grip, but now the logo of my glove and my club face would match in the same direction. Now, a lot of people would say, hey, this is the only way to go. I'm going to eliminate all the other variables. If I know this is pointing toward my target, then that's where the ball is going to go. Let's make it as simple as possible. Well, it's not quite that simple. And this is actually a very difficult grip for a lot of players to have because of what we need to do with the club to be a good golfer. So if you're going to hit good golf shots, you have to have lag. If you basically take every single PGA Tour player that's ever played, when their hands are in front of the right leg in the downswing, this club is still going to be angled back or parallel. The club shaft is going to be parallel with the ground. Now, the club face itself won't be straight up and down there. The club face will actually be turned down slightly. And when I get to impact, when I hit this ball, my hands are going to be in front of the golf ball. My club head is going to be lagging behind through impact. Now, if I have this weaker grip where the club face matches the left back of the logo of the glove, excuse me, then as I lean these hands forward, if I keep this wrist flat, the club face is going to be open and my wrist is going to be flat. That's going to be a shot that goes way to the right. So what I have to do to square up the club face is I have to turn the logo of my glove toward the target, and it gives me a bow in my left wrist. So the forearm to left wrist have a very bowing type feeling. So this would be bowing the left wrist, or what would be called flexion. This would be extending the left wrist, or what would be called a scoop or a cup or a cast, would be these knuckles going back. So all I'm saying there is, if I have my logo of my glove matching the club face and I want to have a good golf swing, I've got to really bow this wrist a lot as I'm coming through impact. That's why you see guys like Colin Morikawa that when he's coming into the downswing, if I look at him when he's here, if I get rid of the right arm, you'll see this huge bow in the left wrist. When he comes through impact, when you're looking from face on, it's almost like his hand is like off the club his wrist is so bowed in that direction. Now, this may not be right for you. I got a simple test for this. Simply take a fist like this with a decent amount of pressure, like you're going to punch something. It doesn't have to be like a death grip, but pretty firm. I'm going to bow my wrist. How far can I bow it till it gets uncomfortable? For me, that's about all I can go before it starts to feel tight in the back of the forearm. And then also, for me, it doesn't feel as powerful. So if you said, hey, how are you going to hit this golf ball? If I said, hey, I have to come like this and really bow this wrist, for whatever reason, that just doesn't feel quite as good to me. Now, the other end of the spectrum would be a stronger grip, as I mentioned. And again, we still have to get the club lagging behind, hands in front of the right leg, club shaft parallel to the ground. We still have to get the hands ahead of the club head through contact, which every single great player is going to do. But if I take the grip and I turn it from the left hand more toward the target, I'd have to be bowed. If I turn that grip a little bit more to the right or stronger, so let's go ahead and get to the impact position here. Let's turn my grip a little bit stronger. Now my left wrist doesn't have to be bowed at all, and the club face is square. So here's another way of visualizing that. Let's take a club face alignment stick, and it's going to show where this club face is pointing. Now, if I go ahead and I keep my logo of my grip and the club face pointing the same direction, logo up, club face up, then, like I said, if I keep this wrist flat and I lean the hands forward, so flat left wrist, hands leaning in front, the club face is pointing way to the right. I then have to rotate it until this club face is square, which would look like this, and my wrist is bowed. So that's what you have to do if you're taking a weaker grip. Now here's another way of doing that. Let's go ahead and lean the club forward, get it into correct impact position. Let's get our body a little bit opened up. Let's take that grip with that weaker grip that's bowed. It'd look like that. And let's gradually start to turn it more to the right until it feels comfortable to you. You may feel like this is good. I like a lot of bow. Completely fine. You and Colin Morikawa will go on to play some fantastic golf with that bowed wrist. But it better bow if you're going to use that weaker grip. You may feel like this is terrible. No way you can play golf from here. You maybe can't do the wrist flex test all the way without having some pain. I'm going to turn a little bit more to the right, a little bit more to the right until it feels comfortable. Well, now my wrist is flat, my club face is square, I still have shaft lane. Well, if I was to go ahead and set that grip straight up and down, you could see how this would be a stronger grip or more turned to the right. So long story short, that's all you have to do to find your perfect grip. Get a little bit of shaft lean, open your body like you're going to hit a shot, so your left arm's kind of across your chest like this, and then just simply get comfortable with that left hand grip. Do the same thing with the right hand grip. Just let it fold onto the club until it feels comfortable for you. That's about where I feel good, and that's about where my normal grip is. Now, one thing that's a little misleading too, let's say I take a really strong grip. This looks like a crazy grip, very, very strong with my hands to the right, but my club shaft is straight up and down. Watch what happens when I lean it forward a little bit. It doesn't really look all that strong now. It looks like a lot of pro players that you're having. So if your grip looks a little weird on camera, sometimes all you gotta do is lean the club a little bit forward like it would be at impact, and now all of a sudden it looks a little bit more normal like the pros would have it. So find your perfect grip by doing the tests I just laid out. Once it feels comfortable to you, and then we're gonna hit some shots, and you can even fine tune this grip a little bit based on your ball flight. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, get in my good impact position, I get my comfortable grip, and then from here, I'm going to feel like I go ahead and hit a dead straight shot. May not go straight, let's see what happens. There we go, really, really straight, had a tiny bit of draw on it. That's about all I could ask for there. So if you look at this tracer on the bottom, the black tracer on the ground, you can see it's just a tiny bit of a draw, landed almost right at the target. That's the kind of shot that I like to play. So for me, I've already practiced this enough. I know my correct grip gives me the correct ball flight. Now let's say, for example, I took the grip that felt comfortable, and when I made my first swing, I went ahead and hit one, and it looked a little bit more like that. Made a little easy swing, but it started to go to the right and then fade a little bit more. Let's actually get one to go even a little bit more fade. So I'll exaggerate here a little bit. So I got my grip that felt comfortable, and then I get these weak shots off to the right like that. Well, it's much easier to get the ball to draw the stronger or the more to the right your grip gets turned. And like I said, Sergio Garcia is a pretty good ball striker. Dustin Johnson, pretty good ball striker. Matt Fitzpatrick, pretty good ball striker. These guys have pretty daggone strong grips. It's okay. Sometimes you just need somebody to tell you, you can play world class, you can win a major championship with your grip way over to the right. I'm giving you my blessing right now. You can turn your grip as strong as you want it to. If it feels better and it gets a better shot, it's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with having a strong grip. If you like to have a weak grip and it feels fantastic and it gets you a great ball flight and you feel like you don't get the hooks maybe if you have a weaker grip, it's completely fine. Use whatever grip you want to. It doesn't matter. Everybody across all kinds of things, except for a few things I'm going to show you here in a minute, but everybody has used weak and strong grips, all kinds of different players to win major championships. So unless you're wanting to be drastically better than anybody that's ever played golf, it's completely fine. Turn your grip wherever you want to that feels comfortable to you. So if I have that one that leaks off to the right, I'm going to turn my hand, I'm going to get the impact position like I did before, and I'm going to turn my hand even a little more to the right, so this way. So I almost have my logo facing out that way. That would be a pretty daggone strong grip. I'm going to turn my right hand a little more under, and when you turn the right hand more under and you turn this left hand more on top, one of the things it does too is it gets you a little more close with your body, gets you a little more from the inside. It makes it easier to swing from the inside and hit a bit of a draw. So I'm going to exaggerate there, go a little bit more this way, and now all of a sudden I'm going to feel like I'm more from the inside and releasing that club, letting it turn on over, and it should help to straighten out that ball flight. There we go. And for me, that's a little too strong, and we're going to see this ball flight overdraw that way. Now, if you have the opposite problem, and you're more like a Colin Morikawa, you're more like a Ben Hogan, and you struggle with the snap hooks. Ben Hogan struggled snap hooking every shot, and he developed a grip that was an anti-hook grip, which is a very weak grip, or logo of the glove matching the club face. If you tend to snap hook it, and you hit shots, so let's say you get to the impact position, you get your grip that feels comfortable, and then you go ahead and hit one, and it's a snap hook, like that. You don't want to do that anymore. Simply go back there again, turn your hands the opposite, more under the grip, this way, a little more bow in your wrist, turn the right hand a little bit more on top, and let me tell you, you keep turning it that way, you will not be able to snap hook a shot. So that's what it's all about. Find the grip that works for your swing, because it's going to match everything else you're doing with your body to get the desired shot shape. That's what the best players in the world are doing. Most of the best players in the world came with a grip that they liked because it gave them the desired ball flight that they wanted. That's why you end up with strong grips and weak grips. Ben Hogan snap hooked balls for 7, 8, 10 years on the mini tours, trying to play professional golf, and then eventually changed his grip, changed his swing to straighten that out. I just don't want it to take 10 years for you. Let me give you what Ben Hogan did right now here today. You don't have to worry about all that other stuff. Find the one that works for you. Same thing with maybe a Matt Fitzpatrick who has a really strong grip. He just tried that out. It felt good. It got the desired ball flight, and it worked easier for him. So those two swings are very different styles of swings, but you can find a grip that matches it. Now here's a couple things that you don't want to do, because every great player has done these things. So you don't want to have a grip that goes up in the palm, meaning that if I grip down here on the shaft like this, that it would be riding up my forearm. I want a grip that's going to be at an angle to my forearm. So if I'm looking at my hand, the meaty part of my hand down here, the bottom of my pad, the grip is going to be under that. So if I have a really weak grip, meaning my hand is turned more under, logo of the glove matching the club face, there's my weaker grip. If I open it up, there's an angle between my forearm and this club. So even if I turn it all the way down, there's going to be a little bit of an angle like that. This is because I want to be able to hinge this club, and that's how I'm going to be able to get lag in the downswing, compress the golf ball at impact, and get a lot of club head speed, is by letting those wrists hinge like that. If I have a really strong grip and I go the opposite, same thing. When I look at this, it's under that pad, it's more in the fingers that way, and I'm going to be here. I don't ever want to get the grip to where it's in line with the forearm, maybe like I would when I'm putting, like this from the down the line camera angle. I don't want it to be like that, or there's just no power there. Let that set down, take your grip where it's across your fingers, in the fingers mostly, strong or weak, any one of those is fine. Another thing, no matter if you have a strong grip or a weak grip, I want to be tucked in with this right elbow. So a lot of players, they have a tough time squaring the club face up with a weaker right hand grip. So if I get my right hand grip more on top like this, again, that's okay if that feels good to you and you're getting a fantastic ball flight. You're getting lag, you're getting shaft lean. But if you struggle to square the club face up, most people are going to feel better with the right hand a little bit more under, because I have to get this elbow, this right elbow, tucked under my left elbow in the downswing. So when I'm looking from down the line, I got to tuck this elbow under. That's very hard to do sometimes when people have their grip more on top like that. They want to get this elbow above it. So feel like you tuck the elbow under. That tends to open up the hand for most people more under the grip like this, and then re-grip it. That's going to feel a lot better for most players. Again, that one feels really good to me. Drew right back on the target. That's the way I like to play golf there. So find your perfect grip, strong and weak. Make sure that you get it in the fingers or you're really going to struggle. And then find that way to get the right elbow under, because every great player is going to be doing that too, with the grip that feels the best for you. Most players, I'll go ahead and tell you right now, the right hand being more under feels better. Not unless you're way shallow, already super shallow from the inside, which I can tell you very few people are you going to want to go with that weaker, more on top right hand. Now, I want to build on this. You see, one of the key things we have to do is swing from the inside and shallow the club out. I have a video that's going to be one of the best shallowing videos that I've ever made. I'm going to give you some secrets that you've probably never heard before on how you can get this club from the inside, how you can get it with lag, and how you can get that ball to have a nice tight draw like I demonstrated here today. I'll play a preview of that video here in 1 second. All you need to do to go ahead and watch that full video is click the link that pops up, one of the cards, the iCards that pops up on your screen. If you don't see one of those cards, don't worry. Go down below and click the link in the description. You'll get instant access to that video. I can't wait to help you shallow out the club, start playing a whole lot better with your new natural grip. Let's go and get started. The bottom line is that if you pull this club down to ring that bell or pull the hands more from the inside, what's going to happen is you start to rush your downswing from that pulling, and that can throw off your sequence. And we all know that once your sequence gets off, that is going to be the root cause of all your problems. Now, maybe you're being outdriven way too often, or you're terribly inconsistent with your strikes. Some of your shots are heavy, some of them are thin, some of them are off the toe, and then the next ones are way off the heel. Now you end up way over in the trees, you're in the tall grass, or maybe even the hazards all day long, and it really comes down to this. Clay, how in the heck do we fix it? Well, there's some good news. Well, there's only two things that you need to learn. First, you need to learn to shallow the club rather than pulling the hands down and getting the shaft in this steep position. You see, there's another way that the pros do this, and once you start to get that club on this shallower plane, more from the inside, then you pair that up with the right way to square the club face. And once you put these two things together, everything starts to fit in your swing. Now, your buddies will start to get a little bit jealous because you'll start hitting solid, longer drives, time after time, and round after round. Now, I'm going to teach you this right now on what I call the E-slot technique. Let's walk through exactly how to do it. So here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and take a swing to the top and get in a really good position. I want you to feel like your weight is mostly shifted to your right side and that your hips and shoulders are nice and free. I don't want to be locked up here. I want my knees to move, my hips to move, and that's going to allow me to swing my shoulders very nicely. Now, one thing that most people get wrong when they swing to the top is they don't get this tilt away from the target. So instead of being straight up and down or leaning to the left, I want to be slightly tilted away in what I call the stable fluid spine in my top speed golf system. Okay, so now that you're at this great position at the top of the swing, what I want you to do is instead of pulling those arms straight down or ringing the bell, that's going to get the club shaft steep and get this elbow kind of flapping behind your body. I want you to do something very specific. I want you to take the tip of your elbow and move it in a specific way. Now, not this small bone on the inside of your elbow, but I want it to be right here at the tip, and here's what I want you to do.